What if I told you that being smart isn't about how many facts you know or how many books you've read? Real intelligence hides in how you think, in the way you see the world and respond to it. Today, you'll learn 5 powerful mindset shifts that quietly put you ahead of 90% of people. These aren't obvious tricks or flashy skills. They're mental habits that, once mastered, help you see things others miss. Most people believe being smart means having more knowledge, but knowledge alone won't make you stand out. You could memorize every book in the library and still be stuck in a crowd of average thinkers. True intelligence isn't about information. It's about perspective and how you handle life as challenges. Here's the first mindset shift. Stop arguing to win. Think about most conversations. People argue to prove they're right. They defend their opinions, attack others, and try to win the debate. It becomes a battle where no one really listens. But the smartest people, they don't argue to win. They ask questions to understand. They're curious, not combative. Questions like, what makes you think that? Have you considered another possibility? What outcome are you really looking for? By asking, they create a space where people feel safe, not threatened. And when people feel safe, real clarity emerges. Minds open. Ideas grow. Smart people know truth isn't a trophy. It's something uncovered together. They don't need to be right all the time. They want to understand the bigger picture. Now, the second mindset shift. Think in systems, not just moments. Most people get stuck in the moment. They fail a test, get rejected, or mess up a workout, and then spiral. They say, I'm a failure, or this always happens to me. One moment defines their whole story. But the top 10% don't see failure that way. They zoom out, they look for patterns. Instead of thinking, I failed, they ask, what system caused this result? What habits or circumstances led here? What can I change next time? When you think in systems, failure stops being a dead end. It becomes feedback, valuable information to learn from. You see the process, not just the result, and that makes growth inevitable. Think about any success story. It's never about one lucky moment. It's about consistent systems working behind the scenes. The third mindset shift is simple but powerful. Focus only on what you can control. Most people waste energy on things outside their control. What others think, what might go wrong tomorrow, or how someone else should behave. That creates frustration, anxiety, and stagnation. But smart people filter their focus. They ask, is this within my control? If the answer is no, they let it go. They don't dwell on blame or worry. Instead, they direct their energy where it matters, on actions they can take right now. This calm focus makes them unstoppable. Instead of fighting noise and distractions, they move forward clearly and consistently. These shifts sound simple, but few truly practice them. Most get caught in arguments, reactive emotions, and worry traps. But the top 10% think differently. They aren't just smarter. They have better habits of thought, and those habits can be learned. Right now, you're learning to step back, question your default reactions, and see life through a wider lens. Because once you do that, the path to growth becomes clear. Not because you know more, but because you think smarter. Imagine this. Most people panic or snap when things don't go their way. They react instantly. Anger, frustration, anxiety take over. But what if the real power comes from doing the exact opposite? The second step to outsmarting 90% of people is mastering the art of calm control. You see, silence is a superpower. Most people hate silence. They rush to fill it with noise, opinions, distractions, meaningless chatter. But smart people, they embrace silence. When you stay silent, you give yourself time to think clearly before responding. You listen deeply. You let others reveal their true selves without forcing the conversation. And here's the secret. The person who stays calm, who reacts the least, holds the most power. Think about a heated argument. Who really wins? Usually, it's the one who keeps their cool who doesn't bite the bait. Silence creates tension, meaning, and control. So, next time you feel the urge to jump in and react, pause. Ask yourself, is this reaction going to help or hurt me? The smartest people know when to speak and when to stay quiet. They observe. They think before they act. And that brings us to the next mindset shift. Observation over impulse. Most people live on autopilot. Something annoys them. They snap. Something scares them. They run. Someone says something dumb. They argue back. But the smartest people pause. They watch what's happening inside and around them. They don't react instantly. They analyze the situation, their emotions, and the other person's intentions. This pause creates insight, and insight beats impulse every time. When you observe before reacting, you don't lose control. You gain power. You begin to understand not just what's happening, but why it's happening, and that gives you options. Instead of being a puppet to your emotions, you become the master of your mind. This takes practice. It's not easy to pause when your heart is racing, or your ego wants to defend itself. But every time you choose observation over reaction, you train your brain for smarter decisions. And smarter decisions lead to better outcomes in work, relationships, and life. So, remember, don't fill silence with noise. Embrace the power of calm. Observe more. React less. This is how you become truly unstoppable. Now that you've learned to control your reactions and harness silence, it's time for the final step. Thinking differently. Most people believe that being smart means knowing more facts or having a high IQ. But here's the truth. Intelligence isn't about what you know. It's about how you think. The smartest people don't just react to life's situations. They zoom out and see the bigger picture. They don't get stuck on a single failure or setback. Instead, they ask, what system created this? What patterns can I learn from? What can I change? When you think like this, failure stops being a dead end. It becomes data, information you can use to grow. And this kind of thinking sets you apart. It turns frustration into opportunity. Next, the smartest people focus on what's within their control. You can't control everything, other people's opinions, unexpected events, or the past. But you can control how you respond. Ask yourself, is this something I can change? If yes, take action. If no, let it go. This simple filter cuts through worry, blame, and stress. It keeps your energy focused on what truly matters. Finally, awareness is your ultimate edge. Most people rush through life on autopilot, reacting without thinking. But awareness means pausing, observing, and choosing your response. It means being present with your thoughts, feelings, and surroundings. And this awareness, it's not luck or talent. It's a skill you develop by practicing these mental habits every day. Build these habits. Pause before reacting. Ask questions instead of judging. Focus on control. Embrace silence. Zoom out to see patterns. And you'll live with quiet confidence. You'll start noticing things no one else sees. You'll move through challenges with calm strength. And, most importantly, you'll outsmart 90% of people. Not because you're smarter, but because you think smarter. Remember, true intelligence is awareness. And awareness makes you unstoppable.